In what will be surprising to no one, YouTube's deranking and censorship and demonetization is having a massive, massive impact on more left-wing groups. I don't want to say necessarily left-wing, but I will say, Nerd City put out a video. It's a half an hour long, talking about words that are demonetized. They looked at 15,000 words and found words that were and weren't demonetized with a heavy impact on the LGBTQ community. Now, I understand. There are gay Republicans. It is not a left-right thing to be gay, but it is typically more progressive and left-wing people who are pushing for censorship and demanding these actions. Well, recently, LGBT creators filed a lawsuit against Google for discrimination, essentially, for censorship. And it's a fact. YouTube absolutely does discriminate against content targeting the LGBT community or issues. And Nerd City has data to back this up. But the issue around deranking and demonetization isn't only affecting the LGBTQ community. What's important here is that those who are advocating for censorship are not, for the most part, the moderates and the conservatives. For the most part, it is the left-wing creators. I was invited to a YouTube meeting a few years ago where on stage they repeatedly berated and belittled conservatives and Trump supporters, and I got really angry about it. Because I was told we were supposed to have a meeting to talk about ending hate, and they thought it was funny to just mock and berate people. And I had that conversation. I left the room and I said, I'm not going back in there. I'm not going to go in there to sit there and hear these people just rag on white trash and Trump supporters and conservatives, because I don't want to hear the hate. I want to talk about how we solve these problems and bring people together. And that's the opposite of what they were doing. These are the groups leading charge. YouTube puts on a public mask about how they defend the LGBTQ community, and they do not. It is demonetization, and it's more severe demonetization than even I get. Listen, it's hard to quantify who gets it worse, right? The LGBT community or political commentary. And I think political commentary likely gets it worse in a lot of ways. However, there are high-profile channels that are able to navigate politics and do it successfully. When it comes to LGBT content, LGBTQ, even saying the word gay is going to get your ads taken away. And here's the big kicker. The left that has pushed this is creating a twisted, strange world. And Nerd City brings up a really, really amazing point in their story. Listen, YouTube is an international company. Content on YouTube can appear in every single country. That means YouTube is looking for the lowest common denominator of acceptable content internationally. And guess what? In many countries, it is illegal to be gay. What that means is, when you demand YouTube enact certain policies banning offensive content, that means they're not going to think about what you find offensive. They're going to think about what anyone at any point, anywhere could find offensive. And that's the path they're navigating. Not America, but the world. And that means if YouTube is going to exist in a country like Turkey, which it struggles to do, well, they're going to have traditional Islamic or religious interpretations of what is or isn't offensive. And that means YouTube recognizes your content may appear in these countries, therefore, it's offensive to say the word gay. Interestingly, Nerd City finds that the words straight and heterosexual are good. And it makes sense. It absolutely makes sense in this context. Think about it. Everywhere in the world, it is okay to be straight. Most places of the world, it is not okay to be gay. And that is something we in the US are actually fighting for. Even Trump has a policy agenda of making sure these other countries respect civil liberties of the LGBTQ community. As much as many people on the left and in this community might not like Trump for reasons I understand, fine. Even Trump, is more favorable than many of these other countries. But YouTube is looking at a global perspective. Even Twitter has said the same thing. They say they're global companies seeking to work with a global audience. So they've specifically talked about UN's rules about how you can't say offensive things that demean or belittle or things like that. Okay, great. You know what's offensive to Saudi Arabia? Gay content. So YouTube doesn't care if 99% of the world is okay with it. They care that it will cause controversy anywhere. So let's read a little bit of the story. And I want to stress, too, make sure you go check out Nerd City. I don't want to look, I have a very political perspective on this, doing news and political commentary. His perspective is more on how it's impacting the gay community. And I think he's correct. I, on the other hand, I should say, I'm not going to ascribe to him his beliefs on this issue, but I believe this is a complete backfiring from progressive and left-wing groups, or it's just another instance where they claim to want to fight for marginalized communities, and in the end, they don't. They create things that are actually negative towards these communities. So there's LGBT creators who are suing YouTube. I think it's a good thing. I think we must challenge the precedents of YouTube. But in my opinion, you have no entitlement to monetization. Deranking, on the other hand, is a more interesting story. Take a look at this data. Changes in impressions percentage for April event. We can see that my main channel, Tim Pool, is on the positive end of these things. It was upranked. I don't know if this is why they're showing more impressions or whatever. I did change my content on my main channel. I changed the style and the format. I used to do cut edited pieces. Now I do straight live reads on my main channel as well. I also started making my videos longer because I have the gift of the ability to rant forever. So now the videos are averaging around, like 20 minutes long. That could be why they're showing more of it. It may have nothing to do with content or politics. However, I also installed the new extension that censors words, and some words you think might not even be offensive that I can't say. I'm not even kidding. There are words I can't say right now that you'd be like, that word's offensive? Yup. It'll get you demonetized because they transcribe the words you say. I don't say them. And I've even blocked certain names out because yes, names are also can get you demonetized. Now here's the thing. If you look down at the bottom, you can see Timcast, deranked. The yellow to orange is deranking. Now, I didn't change Timcast. I don't do a whole lot with these videos. I don't care for metadata or whatever. But something happened after May where my channel started getting less impressions. This says to me the only way this could have happened is if YouTube chose for this to happen. Now, I also admit, I purposefully keep my main channel towards mainstream, large breaking news stories for my commentary and breakdown and avoid the more controversial drama stuff like you're seeing now. I'm purposefully avoiding doing videos like this on my main channel because I know YouTube will punish me, and this is a scary thing. Now look, if you watch me, you're gonna get my honest opinion and assessment on all of these stories. If you only watch Tim Pool, you may be wondering why it's all politics all the time. Well, because I focus on the big political stories as we're moving into 2020 and reserve the bigger cultural stories for this channel. I have to be very careful because I know YouTube will shut me down and negatively impact my livelihood. What's interesting here, though, and we can see, it's very strange. First, we can see that Steven Crowd has been heavily deranked, but so is the BBC. I have no idea why. I really don't. The David Pakman show was deranked. My channel was deranked less than Pakman. Okay, so let me stress this. The Young Turks, where are the Young Turks at? They're in here somewhere. TYT Nation and the Young Turks were deranked. For whatever reason, they are on the negative end following some change that happened. And guess what? Red Ice TV and the Thinkery, Sargon of Akkad's channel, was deranked less than the Young Turks. The Young Turks took a heavier hit than Sargon did. And let me just make it very clear for all of you, my main channel, Tim Pool, which absolutely pushes back on the Young Turks, pushes back on the far left, upranked. So the Young Turks, the people who are in line with that progressive view and are more likely to support banning hate speech and offensive content are the ones getting hit by this. The most, at least according to this data. I shouldn't say the most because there have been a lot of right-wing channels that were outright banned. But it's amazing that the Young Turks, TYT Nation, the David Pakman show, were deranked more than, well, actually were deranked at all. And my main channel is being propped up. Take a look at this story from Nerd City. His YouTube channel is just Nerd City. It's a half an hour long. It's really, really well made. And they have a spreadsheet that shows all of the banned words. What is that? Did I just see Ann Coulter? So anyway, you can see, I can't show these words. What am I doing? I can't show those words. So there it is. It's not the conservatives, it's the moderates, not people like me calling for this. We're actually pushing back. I absolutely believe the LGBT community has a right to talk about all of these things. And, let me put it this way. Monetization is a tricky subject. Do you have a right to have ads on your channel? The answer is no. However, what we're talking about with demonetization is also deranking. What we're seeing here in this image is deranking. Whether or not advertisers want to be on your channel. I have advertisers. People sell ads on my channels. Why would they take issue with my opinions and personalities on one channel and not the other? The problem here is YouTube making an automatic determination of what they don't want to include for sale, period. And I think the main point stands that needs to be stated. If the left continues to call for the banning of offensive speech and refuses to defend open speech, whether it be hateful or otherwise, these companies are not thinking about what Americans want. They're going to look at a global average. And the lowest common denominator of this planet does have a tinge of an offensive reaction to gay content, period. So if in the United States, look, in the United States, most people find it completely acceptable. Not everybody, but most people. And most advertisers, if not all advertisers, are completely okay with it. There you go. YouTube will say fine. But not in other countries. In other countries, YouTube says, listen, we do sell ads in these countries, and they are offended by it, so they will ban it. It was hit piece after hit piece that caused this, and it will only get worse. So I'll wrap it up there. I think you get the point. They go on to show a bunch of words that I can't show, and I probably already did, so you can expect, look, this channel almost entirely demonetized. And it's like 2 days later they monetize it because, of course, Tim Pool doesn't say anything too ridiculous or outrageous. A bunch of feminists are angry that I made a video saying that I prefer to find a housewife and not a career wife, and they're upset about it. Yeah, okay, whatever, man. I'm a dude talking about his feelings on the internet. I don't know what you expect of me. I don't know why you think I care what your opinion is, and I don't care what your opinion is. You're allowed to hate me. Fine, whatever. You know what, man? We live in a weird world. But anyway, the point is, expect it to get worse. Because there are a lot of countries with backwards views, and Google caters to them. And that includes China. That includes China. Keep that in mind, okay? They want to make money over there too, and so when China says, we don't want this content on the site, guess what? It'll be gone. Now, maybe they'll localize it, but in the end, I don't think that's the case. I think what they're doing is saying, hey, if anyone anywhere might be offended by this, better get rid of it. Congratulations. You know it's not offensive? I don't know, a video about a cheese plate. I'm sorry, that'll offend the vegans. How about a video about socks made of bamboo? I actually have some. They're great. They're super smooth. It's like bamboo fibers. Well, bamboo is sustainable. Socks, boring. Who cares? Yeah, I don't think anybody could be offended by that. Oh, I'm sorry. Nudists. You know what? I give up. Everything's offensive. Congratulations. You reap what you sow. Stick around. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. on my main channel. And of course, it will be political. YouTube.com/Timcast. And I will see you all there.